commit the budget against your funds or WVS for one full fiscal year for your purchasing needs, right? So going forward, LOC or EMF is not going to be a PO, it's going to be a commitment, okay? So I think I did say this multiple times in previous meetings. So again, what does commitment means? That you're blocking the funds, right? The idea for like today, you are already aware most of the departments do use sorry, parent and child relationship for LOC, right? LOC is created as a parent and you place a child PO with reference to the parent. Similarly, EMF is also a parent, but there is no PO associated with it. It's not a legal document for the vendor. But we are asking that departments do create a child for every EMF, every parent, okay? The reason behind that is sorry, purchasing team want to know, have a good visibility on the spend, because to know spend by different categories, whether this is medical supplies or type of items, go to the lowest level of the UNSPSC code, commodity code. They wanted to make sure that we have a child PO in the system. I know that today we had that concept of parent-child, but I think only 25% of the departments use parent-child relationship, but most of the LOCs actually go directly to the vendor as a PO. Okay. Any questions on that?
Yes, Praveen. I have a question. So in this case, am I getting any PO number? Because usually I need those PO number to order separately from the outside vendor, which are not inside our system. So am I getting PO number or am I getting any kind of number?
There will be a number, but that is not a PO. So when you said outside the vendors, system, yeah. I didn't follow that. So are we saying that those are not the catalog suppliers?
No, they are not, because we say, example, we order from MacMaster, which is outside supplier, and then but we still used to make LOC, and then we use that PO number to order from their system. So how this will work currently?
Okay. Well, a quick question. So if you are saying it's not a catalog supplier, but they are a supplier in the system or a vendor in the system, where you create a describe your own today, or you create a LOC against that, right? It is still a supplier in the system, right?
Not in the system. It's outside vendor, not in the system. They're not in the system.
I see. Okay. I think we will have to talk because anytime we are creating a PO, ideally we should have that's an external setup in the system as a supplier.
So say another example, DGKey. So they have their own online system. What we do is like put our PO and then order. So we don't have to go through all the steps of approval and all this. It's more faster. So now, so I think not only our lab, I noticed that several labs in Cornell, so they order from DGKey and they all use that some PO number. I mean, we can go through the system and then order the place that order in the system, but we want to avoid that longer approval time. That's why the LOC is basically we use for.
Got it. Yes, I think longer. So we wanted to remove us, streamline the approval process so that it is not creating any, overhead for all the approvers, and there is no delay as well. But coming to your previous point, right, where you're sending to external, so how do you pay that vendor if that vendor is not in the system? We can take it offline probably to better understand this question.
Okay, so I will work with you one-to-one later to.
Yes, I will also make sure maybe Priscilla or someone from the purchasing team is on the call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So any other questions before I jump into the system? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So right now I'm in the test system. I'm trying to log into WBG test, but using a test ID. This is an ID. associated with medicine of cardiology division of medicine. So I'm logging in as this test user. So again, every requisitioner will have this new purchasing catalog, right? So when you click on the new purchasing catalog, you will see some additional tiles. So some of the tiles, most of these tiles are actually associated with Ariba. So for example, if you, whoever is part of the super user, they might have already seen 3 tiles, right? Shop, advanced, search, and supply request. This was already part of the super user testing that most of you were part of. But we also added some additional tiles, which we will again go over this in detail through job aids and training. But for now, just to give a high level for some who are not aware of, Shop New is basically, it launches the Ariba new purchasing platform. It has its own landing page, right? So from here you can buy. Catalog, for example, to place any catalog orders. So if you know that the catalog is related to lab supplies, go inside that, identify who your suppliers are. Again, not every supplier you might see here, but in production, everyone associated with lab supplies will be here. Okay. Similarly, office supplies, etc. Right. But describe your own cart today. That will be created through this icon here called request a non-catalog item. So going forward, we will have catalog items and non-catalog items, right? Non-catalog order will be placed through this, and catalog orders will be placed through one of these styles. So directly through a punch out or a hosted supplier file. Okay. So let me close out this. Then you have advanced search. This is very similar. Find your own PRs, POs, etc. Supplier request. Today you have a process where you can create a purchase order against an unknown vendor because you don't know who the vendor is. That is going away. The process should be, if you do not know who the supplier is, first we are asking that supplier request is being requested to the purchasing team, right? And purchasing team will set up their supplier, and then they will get back to you. Again, there will be notifications that the supplier registration is complete, and then you can place a order against that supplier which was created by purchasing team. Okay. So again, there is no more creation of shopping carts with unknown vendor, because anyway, purchasing team have to first create the supplier, assign the supplier on that request and go forward. So going forward, we are asking to first create the supplier request, and the PR directly will be created against the supplier once it's created. Buying and invoicing, again, that's Ariba terminology, but buying and invoicing is a different view of Ariba platform. It's more text-based view, but it primarily does the same thing. There are certain cases, again, we will explain in what scenarios. If it is a very complex card where you have n number of lines, right? We recommend that you don't go into this guided buying tile-based view, but we recommend to go here and start creating that non-catalog order, or within the catalog here, you can actually see who are your catalog suppliers and click on either a punch out or a hosted catalog supplier, go from here. This supports, some of the features that we have gaps on the guided buying, which is the other shop new type. Okay. For example, if you have a number of lines, but you want to copy the account assignments for all the lines, like every line has like multiple split accounting, that itself is very complex card. So we ask that you come here and do that creation. Okay. Sourcing requests, again, this I don't want to get into this. We can have a separate meeting for the rest of these styles here for one. Then earmarked fund. So this is your LOC going forward, right? When you click on this, it will open up a new screen. So again, apologies, the test system might be a little bit slower. Okay. So when you come to this screen, you probably notice that this is very similar to your e-form payment requisition and travel and expense, right? It's the same design that we have for the EMF as well. Okay, so where you can actually, by default, what you see is 3 years of requests created by every user, right? There is another way also, like if you go back to your e-form monitor, which you are already used to, let's see, electronic forms, and go to the e-form monitor. Here you have all these filters, right? So in the drop down, you also see earmarked fund, okay? But we also have a direct link on the purchasing new tab as well, right? Which doesn't give you all the filter options at the top level on how you wanted to search. But once you have this monitor, you can actually do the filters on every column, like user defined field. You want to see only requests created certain duration. Okay. So to create a new e-form request on the monitor, again, you have a general information like what is this request for, what is the document header text, who this request is against, which supplier. Okay. And the EMF doc number, even though you see a 4 to number range here, this is not a PO. We want to keep the 4 to number range for this as well, so that from BW reporting point of view, it doesn't you don't have to get confused with the LOC report, right? LOC report, when you run for historic data, you see 4 to POs. Going forward, when you run that LOC report, you will see the 4 to EMF numbers. Okay. And what is the total value? What's the due date? Basically, the fiscal year end date or whatever the date might be. Who this is requested by, and when it was requested. Any questions so far? Yes, so there is a question. Will the new earmarked fund tile will be added to all purchasing user accounts? Answer is yes. So every person who have access to buy today will have that tile on their WBG. Okay. So create earmarked fund. So let me go ahead and create the request. So justification, very simple screen, right? So you are asking, basically this is for the approvers to see why you are requesting this EMF. This has no limit on amount of text you want to put in. Okay, so it can go into pages, but it's up to you how you want to manage that field. EMR due date, by default, we are giving you the next fiscal year due date, but it's editable. You can always change it if you need to. EMR title, we ask that this title will be very, user-friendly, and that because eventually this earmarked fund will end up in your buying and invoicing or in your Ariba application. So when you are trying to buy against this EMF, you will be able to see the details. You will be able to see the title. So I request that you put some text here where you can identify what this is for, right? So maybe you can put like, okay, this is for EMF, for medical supplies, for maybe cardiology. I don't know how you wanted to name it, but again, this will help you in identifying the EMF in the in your buying application. Okay. Vendor, these are all your suppliers. You can do a search by the number or the name. Okay. So let's do CAM because I was testing with that. So then GL account, you only see the purchasing GL account. Again, you can search based on description and code. So as I said, this is for medical suppliers. I'm selecting this GL code. So going to the next step. So this is where you add your splitting, right? Account splitting. So based on some of the discussions, or at least the data we saw, maybe most of the LOCs are against just one funding source, but you have a flexibility of splitting across various funds and WBS. Okay, one line cannot have both fund and WBS. If you enter fund, WBS will be grayed out. If you enter WBS, fund will be grayed out. IO is basically the internal order number. The reason why we have it here is currently in ITS team uses internal order. This is another, I would say, another dimension below the fund or WBS for reporting purposes, which is also considered an accounting element for within SAP system. Okay.
Praveen,
So,
I'm sorry, quick question.
Sure.
I'm sorry, you said
Sure.
you can or cannot split. You said
You
if
can.
you use fund, you cannot use WB and vice versa. So you cannot split or you can?
You can split.
Oh, you can do split billing.
Yeah. So as you can see, maybe let's put.
I'm sorry, because I thought you said the other, if you used one, then the other would be grayed out. Or did I hear wrong?
On one single line. In one single line, you cannot, right? So all these lines are individual split lines, right? So when I said what you see here is split accounting screen. So what on this EMF, you are seeing how the funding is coming from two different funding sources.
Right, but it's one line item, that the line of credit, the EMF is a one line item EMF, correct?
Correct. Correct.
I'm sorry, I've just lost you for a sec. You're doing a one line item earmark fund and you're doing split accounting on a one line item, or is this a
Yeah, this is only one line item and I'm doing split accounting on that one line item.
Okay, so it works with one line item. And the earmark funds can only be one line item, or can they be two?
It can be only one line item, but question is, do you have scenarios where you have two line items?
Okay, well, currently I can have, okay, well, I can have a regular PO with multiple line items, but it would be, let's say, requiring a quote or whatever, but it doesn't have to necessarily have to go to the end of the fiscal year.
Right. So, so EMF, again, as I said, this is commitment, right? You're trying to say what you're trying to buy. So you're trying to buy medical equipment. You're not spelling out every single individual type of medical supplies on this EMF, right? You are going at a very top level, right? At a very high level, saying that okay, this is related to medical supplies, right? And these are the funds that you are going to use, and this is your script for that particular EMF.
Okay, for a one line item. Okay.
Correct. But when you're creating the PO with respect to this EMF, obviously you will go to the line item details. So you will say whether this is, you know, like gloves or, you know, go to all those details basically. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Is there, there is a question here. Is there a limitation on amount of funding for the EMF? No, we didn't put any limitation, but is there a specific question like should we put limitation or? Yeah, I mean, to answer you, Jane, no, there is no limit. System doesn't have any limitation on what you put in here. Okay. So going to the next step. So as you can see, then as soon as you go to the next screen, there is a request ID created. Again, this is very similar to, this is nothing but the form ID, right? Nothing to do with the backend commitment document. The form ID is created in the backend system. If you want any supporting documents that your approver want to see, you can drag and drop, or you can upload from your you know, presentation server or any location basically. But this is the option. Okay. So go to the review. The review will show you the summary of what you inputted on first and second screen, which will give you information about, you know, all the header level, all the details that you entered on first screen.
What do you want?
So I need the Columbia Aga.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's
you can ask him. Send it.
Yeah, if you do not have questions, can you mute yourself, please?
Yeah, maybe that's better.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see, earmark request number, that was just the form ID. The total earmarked amount is total of all the split accounting line items, right? The due date, title, vendor number, TL account. If there is an attachment, you would have seen that. And you click on submit for approval. So let's say you still want to edit, you can always do edit, but once you submit for approval, you cannot edit. You can only edit once one of the approvers reject it, right? But let's go ahead and submit. So there it's asking, are you sure to submit? Answer is yes. Okay. So as you can see below, sorry about that. As you can see below, there is a document number created, the 42 number. The 422 number is your commitment document. So that means it is your financial document, which is consuming your budget at this time. So if you had $1 million and you created 22,000, so your available budget is already down by 22,000 here. Okay. I think it's especially important against the grants. Any questions here?
Praveen, if the vendor is not listed, in that case, like, are we going to use 999, the 69 numbers, or like what we are using?
So the idea is, that's the question I was saying, like if you do not have a vendor in the system, and today you might be placing an order with the unknown vendor, that won't be happening going forward, right? First thing, we need to request for that vendor in the system. That is through a supplier request process.
Okay.
Okay.
Question, Praveen, and how long is the process if you request a vendor before the vendor is created in the system? What's the turnaround time? 1 or 2 days?
Should be very quick. The only approval step in that is purchasing approval, but it depends. So if you, let's say that you have already collected all the information necessary to onboard a vendor, right? So you have the W-2s and everything from the supplier, then purchasing team have to complete the internal registration process. So I see Barbara on the call. Maybe you want to.
And it would be the new vendor setup form and the W-9 or W-8? Would those be the only two pieces of documentation needed from the vendor?
Yeah, Priscilla or Barbara, you want to take that? Okay. I'll make a note of that question. To your point, it should be quick, as Jorge might have already went through this demo of supplier request in some of the meetings before. Purchasing team, it goes to purchasing team as soon as you create a request, and purchasing team need to. So if you collect all the information from the supplier, then it will be very quick. But if we do not have W-2s or W-8s or all the fonts necessary to onboard the vendor, then purchasing team have to connect with the supplier, so that there might be some delay there.
Okay.
Right, and there's that demo is actually out on our website too, so it's out there. There's 2 questions in the chat. Are we able to upload all file types?
Yes, answer is yes.
Great. And then the second one is the EMF doc number or request number, the number we are providing the vendor in lieu of the old PO, or will a new separate number be provided when approved?
As I said, this is not a PO number, so this will never be provided to supplier. Even if you provide, they cannot recognize what this is going forward, because this is not a PO. So
which
LOC,
number we are using?
Yeah, I will go to that shortly. Basically what we have to do is create a child PO with reference to EMF, and that PO will automatically flow to the supplier, because we are working with all the suppliers to be on something called Ariba network. Means we are sharing the documents electronically with the suppliers. Most of the suppliers did agree that they want to be on the network. We don't have to do a print and email to supplier separately. As long as the supplier is on the network, when we create a PO, systematically we are pushing the PO to their inbox.
Quick question. So once you've entered all the details on this and you press enter, it goes on to processing. And just in any event, like, has it changed? Let's just say I just realized I just made an error. I forgot 12 cents. I got to go back and edit. Do I still have to wait till the card is rejected before editing, or are we allowed any editing features while it's processing?
Once you hit submit, right? This already went into approver's queue, right?
Mhm.
So that means because it's with approver, you cannot edit it. But if approver rejects it, yes, it will come back to you for editing. So for that, let me go to the home page again. So let me refresh this. So as you can see here, you don't see a pencil icon, right? So if you see only the display icon here, that means you cannot edit this because this is with the approvers. Okay, so it's with the budget approver, who is the first level approver. It went to some of the test IDs here, but similarly to your PO approval process, shopping cart approval process, where you have 3 levels of department approvals. You have the first level fund approver, then you have the divas, and then you have DADs, right? Some departments might be just one. It depends on the size of the department. So it goes to the same approval step. So if one of the approver, let's say the first level rejects this, right, then it will come back to you for edit. Okay. Because the point is, when you edit something, what happens? So if you give an option to edit as it's in approval, let's say out of 3 steps, 2 are approved, and now you edit something, then it will re-trigger all the workflow from step 1. Okay. So great questions. Great question. So let me complete this approval. So this went to the DE. So let's log in as one of those users.
Excuse me, is there a time frame that the approvers, once purchasing has approved, is there a time frame that the approvers should be approving the purchase request, or should we just reach out to them to approve? I mean, which I have done in years, but you know what? Sometimes I make the time. Others may not have it. So is there a time frame that they should be approving? Are they given that? Do they know that?
We do not have any escalation or timelines that we set up for this application, but we do have an email that gets routed to all the approvers involved as soon as you submit. And that email actually, let me go back and check with our development team. Maybe we can think about sending a reminder email after certain days if it's not approved. If it's waiting in the queue for certain days, maybe an email reminder should go out. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. And if do you have any number of days in mind?
7 days. What?
7
Excuse
days?
me? I'll be on top of it before 7 days. No.
Okay. Okay. Sounds great. Thank you. Okay. So let me log in as a different user as an first level approver. That's not the right ID, looks like. Wait a sec. Okay, for the approver, most of the approvers already is aware of my work list, right? I will show in a different approval, but the to-do includes every approval. You have your shopping cart approvals, you have JV approvers, any HCM, HR related approvals, PRs, everything is part of the to-do, right? We also introduced a new tile called EMF, but for some reason this user do not have all the tiles mapped, but still it shows up in the to-do. So if I check this, it says this is the 22,000 that we just created, and it's waiting for their approval. So this user can, again, probably this is a user who doesn't have all the right access or cannot see some of the details here, but the next step you will see, okay? But they can still approve or reject here. So let me go ahead and approve. They can add comments, which is optional. Okay, so this is out of their queue now. So now let's go back to my other screen. So let me log in with a different browser so that I don't have to log back in. So this is the requester that I used before. Okay. So let's see what the status is here. Okay. So if I go to the awaiting approval, you can see that the first approver already signed off. This is the approver, right? Now it went to DIVA. I think medicine is one of the biggest departments, so it has all these approval steps here. So C_NDDV. So let me log in as that approver and complete the second step as well. Yeah, you can post any questions in the meantime as it is taking some time for log off and log back with all this test IDs here. DB.
Praveen, one question we have is, so will we use current POs when Ariba go live or new EMF need to be created? Thank you.
For this fiscal year, the go live is 5/2, right? As you might already be communicated. So if you already have LOCs created for this fiscal year, you don't have to take any action for that. But I know mid of May and starting from May, you will start creating LOCs for next fiscal year, right? And yes, for next fiscal year, you will be creating EMFs. Okay. Any questions there?
So Praveen, so my understanding is that LOC, not anymore LOC, it's EMF, and the process is similar as e-form process, and there will be a child PO shared with the vendor. So now when we are ordering something in the vendor, so do we have to put that child PO, use that child PO, or like a vendor already have our information, or how that will work?
So, okay, let me complete this LOC and I will jump into shop and show you how actually you can reference EMF and create a child. Okay. The reason I want to come here as second level, I won't complete the third step. Okay. I'll use what we have already EMFs in buying. So as you can see, there is a separate tile called Earmarked fund, right? So I clicked on it as an approver. So this is what approvers will see. Right, this is basically the summary. Okay, so they have an option to approve and reject. Okay, so I just want to show that approvers will have this new tile in their work list going forward. They can also add comments here. So this is done now. Right now, the other request would have said that this is already approved for second step and it's ready for the third step. Now, to save time, I will not go to the third step because it's the same user experience. There is no difference. Now here they have to sign off as a DA. Okay, so now let me go to buying. So as I said, same catalog. Now go to shop. Okay, so my understanding based on various conversations is this LOC or EMF is mainly for catalog orders, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But you can also use EMF against a non-catalog if you need to. Okay. So let me go ahead and create this catalog order against AppCam. Okay. So AppCam seems to be like a L2 punch out. So let's pick any item from here. So let's see, add to basket. Again, nothing related to how you see the supplier websites will change because that's controlled by suppliers. This project will not change any UI on the supplier side, okay, especially on the punch outs. So check out. Okay. So you are now trying to create a punch out against an EMF. So obviously you don't want any approvals to be part of this, right? Because you want this to be a quick child order without any approvals, because EMF is already approved by all the budget approvers, right? All the DS, DDs, and DIVAs. So need by date, obviously you need to put in when you are requesting this products, right? And then a floor and room where you want the product to be delivered. I think this is similar to what you currently have, right? Again, I don't want to go into the details of what every field on this requisition is, because that's a different demo that you probably already was demoed on. If not, we can set up a separate meeting. Okay, this is the header level details. Then you have the line item details. In the line item details, you have accounting, right? So this is where you can actually identify, as you can see, there is a EMF. Okay, this is where you are saying you are creating this order with reference to an EMF document, right? EMF in this case is parent. Okay, so what you can do is, like, because I have two line items, you can always go to split accounting on here, select the EMF, try to find again. As you can see, there are some test documents. So every EMF that you have in the system will have, because this is test, maybe you won't have all those details, but it will have the vendor number and the title, right? It will always have the vendor number followed by the title. That the title is the document header text that you gave in the other screen while you are creating EMF. Okay, that's why I said for you to search by name or ID. If this is something that you can identify, that would be helpful to find it here quickly. Okay, so let me select this one here. So then you have two line items, right? Two split line items. So now you wanted to split, let's say 60% going to line one, which is, I think in this case, fund, and 40% you want to go to WPS. Again, this is again regular split concept. So let me search anything that starts with 422, right? So I have two line items. So you can see that the first line is fund, the second line is WPS. Okay, so I'll say 60% going to fund and 40% going to so on. Yeah, basically you have to select these as well as the EMF line item.
But it was already done with that 42 number, right? Do we have to choose again to separate way?
Yeah, because you are creating split here. Yeah, the reason we have to do this is because EMF fund GL combination is one line item on the EMF. The funding source and GL combination is line item, one line item.
Okay.
Okay. So in this case, 1 second, maybe I did not select the right count. I don't know which user I'm logged in as. Okay, this should not happen, but we'll take a step. I'll show the one that we just created, but what it's trying to do is, if you are creating an EMF from medicine, pediatrics department cannot select medicine EMFs, or other departments cannot select this particular EMF. Similarly, you are trying to create this against AppCam supplier, right? But EMF is created for someone else. So you cannot do mismatch as well, right? So it says that if you are trying to create this against, like WB Mason, for example, it says that the supplier do not match as well. So there are certain validations in place, but I don't know why this is coming up. We did not have this validation because this is the same user in the same department. Okay, we'll remove that. But let me show the one that we created yesterday. Okay, probably this guy. Just give me 1 sec.
Praveen, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're having a request if we could ask to see the LOC process for professional services.
Sure, we can do that. But can I have that meeting as a separate a separate session?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Sorry for going into all the SAP screens, but let me trying to find that document we created yesterday. Okay, found it. So let's do search common actions. Search purchase orders. This. So maybe this is not the user it's using. Yeah, 694. Sorry. Sorry for that. Too many test IDs. We don't know which ID we used yesterday. So yeah, this is the same thing, AppCam. So as you can see the details here. Okay, there are two splits here, right? This is a very similar example we did yesterday. This is the EMF that we used, 60% going to line 1. Okay, as you can see the vendor number followed by the fund and the description here. So 60% going here. The product price is 490, right? This is the item that we placed. And the line 2 here is going to the WBS account. So both WBS and fund belong to medicine, right? So that's why this user was able, the user who placed this is, let's see. Okay, I'll have to go out of the line item, but so let's see, the user should be part of medicine. Yeah, also this is C_NDDA. This is the end user who is the DA of medicine, right? So this PO now, which is created as a child against EMF. So as you can see, there are no workflows. If you look at the show approval, this particular one did not have any approval whatsoever, right? Only while creating child, the only information that's inputted is need by date, floor, room, and that's pretty much. As soon as you click submit, because you are referencing the EMF document number, it goes through the auto approval process. And as soon as the PR is created, the PR number, so this is your PR is nothing but purchase requisition. So once this is created, you have a PO immediately, and this actually gets routed to the supplier as well. So if I actually look at the supplier, it tells me that the order was successfully sent via Ariba network to AppCam. So when AppCam logs into their Ariba network dashboard, they will see this PO in their inbox that came from WCM. Okay, and they can do the order confirmation and send us the invoice. So it depends on what items that they are sending us. They can itemize all the items on the invoice and send us invoice back to Ariba. So again, there is some change in the process of invoicing. Most of the suppliers that we are working with who will be on the network, we are expecting invoice to come back to us on the network, right? And all the reconciliation and all the matches of invoice against the PO is happening in Ariba. But any supplier who do not want to be on the network, they can continue with the OCR process, which is sending to that WCM PO invoice queue that is currently is the invoice process.
So we'll be
I'm
able
sorry.
to see this. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because with my line of credits, every single invoice that I receive, in other words, I'm not given orders to create against the LOC currently. Every single invoice I receive, I send to WCM PO to be charged against the existing line of credit. So that will still exist, right?
That is exists. When you said every single, who those suppliers are, that is the question, right? If the supplier is, let's say, AppCam in this example, then we are asking AppCam to send the invoice via the network and not through OCR, because the OCR is kind of it's like a manual process, but we wanted supplier to respond back electronically with the invoice on Ariba, right? But if you want to validate the invoice before it gets paid, that's different, right? That's where we have introducing a new process called. So if you can see, would you like to review the invoice for this order before it is paid? If the answer is yes, it doesn't get paid by AP immediately. Someone from the department, actually the requisitioner, have to validate that if it is professional services, for example, validate that this work is completed prior to getting paid. Okay.
Okay. So for
But if
example,
it is,
go ahead.
Yeah, but if it is goods, because we don't have a goods receipt process in New York, I think that was a pain point that was introduced years back and taken away. So because we don't have a goods receipt confirmation process in the system, so someone have to say that, yes, goods are received for this order, so we are good to pay the vendor, right? So there is no system document that gets created for goods receipt.
And that, would you like to review, etc.? That's going to be defaulted to yes?
It will be defaulted to yes, but at the time of placing order, you can change it to no. If you think this order doesn't need that confirmation and we believe this vendor and we are okay, whatever invoices they send, we'll pay them. It depends. It's at the user discretion here or requisitioner discretion, but by default, it will be set as yes.
Because, for example, with Unitex, for example, my lab managers, I have two, they send me the weekly invoices that Unitex has given them. They send it electronically, and then those, which are lab codes, etc. I just send to WCCMPO because the lab managers send it to me, and they would know because they're in the lab. So I just sent to WCMPO, and that's That will not change, correct?
So if vendor is sending invoices, is the assumption, so is vendor actually emailing the invoice to the lab manager?
I know they go weekly with the lab coats, and then they give the invoice to the lab manager. And then they in turn email it to me, both.
Okay.
I get
Yeah. I mean, if the invoice is coming manual from the supplier, yeah, so that process will not change.
Okay.
But we are asking the suppliers as much as possible try to send the invoice through the network so that we can, alleviate this manual process of pushing the invoice to that WCM PO invoice queue. Right?
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome.
So Praveen, I have another question. So this PO will be shared with vendor directly. The same time, are we getting this PO, or like we have to get in the system and see the PO?
When you said, this, whoever is a requisitioner, they will have this in their dashboard whenever they run, go to their PO report or search POs and search wide open, they will see every PO created by them, right? But are you saying that will there be an email? Answer is also yes.
Right.
So the email will be going to the requisitioner, whoever requested.
Okay, so we are getting that PO as well. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And,
so let me show some samples of the email that you will see. I think I was getting too many today, created by the test team members. So this is how this is basically the approval email. Okay. So what it says here is, again, we are trying to change some terminology, but it says that someone actually created this PR waiting for the approver to sign off, right? So if they click on this view, it actually launches that approval screen and they can take action. So this is one of the approval emails, right? So for the requisition, let me see if I have any sample. Okay, activity. Yeah, so this is test PO condition. So this is basically the PR, right? So this is also an approval. I'll forward the corresponding email. So there are a bunch of emails that I need to search and find the appropriate emails. But requisitioner will also get an email notification as soon as this is submitted.
Okay, thank
with
you.
this information.
Another thing, is there any place where we can see the amount left in EMF?
That's a great point. So that is a BW report. The line of credit report that you currently use will be leveraged, and the EMF is going to be part of that same report. So wherever you see LOC, that's where you see the EMF, and any child created against the EMF will be your order column on the BW report, and whatever is a balance will be shown on that report, on that BW report. But actually, one other point, that's a great question. So let's say you have 22,000 created. Now you're trying to place an order for 25,000 against that EMF. System won't allow you. There will be a very bold message right on the screen which says that the EMF do not have sufficient funds to create this requisition. So the process for that, I think there was a question about edit, right? So let me show you how you can actually edit. So once the EMF is created, if you want to supplement funds to it, or you want to, for example, liquidate funds, there is different process. Again, I'm looking at the time, it's already 12, but I can set up another meeting on how you can actually supplement funds.
Okay. Yeah, because this system looks like we need more help. At least I need more help. So
absolutely,
yeah, that would be great. Yes.
Yep. We have training team on the call, and obviously, I think there are sessions. Maybe Lucy, you want to talk about different training schedules and awareness schedules or meetings that are scheduled?
Yeah, and I just put a message in the chat. I will resend the training plan out to everyone, the email that was sent last Friday. So everybody who registered for one of these calls, I'll send out the training schedule. Plus, you can visit our website, which I also put in the chat. And the website is on every communication we issue. So anything that you receive from us so far, the website's on there, and all of the training scheduled time is out on the website. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we strongly recommend that maybe if given a chance, attend session twice, maybe as time permits. So it's as it's new system, we understand it takes time to adjust to this, but you will certainly benefit from them from this application for sure. Wherever necessary, there is some automation done.
We're also going to push out this demo later in the week to everybody who's on the call. Thanks.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can I ask? This
Yes,
is
yes,
just
yes.
about, I need to know, is there any update, any possibly in the future, split billing, multiple line items for one vendor, any vendor, multiple line items, split billing. I know right now it's only possible for a single line item order. Is it going to be, I hope, an added feature, split billing, multiple line item orders like we currently have, you know, change, copy, change all, for example. I know currently that's only split billing for one line item, if I'm not mistaken, because that's what I was last told. Is that going to be added in, I hope?
So you are referencing to EMF or you're
Well, no,
referencing
no,
to
I know,
PR?
just any split billing period, but multiple line items. I know a line of credits, I mean, EMF is only one line item allowed, correct?
Mhm. Right, that's correct.
Right,
But
so
you can
this
have multiple
wouldn't be
splits.
an EMF question, it would just be a regular order question. I don't know if that's being worked upon, is it going to be added? Because we definitely use split billing, multiple line items. And I know currently, at least the last time I asked, that was not available.
Yeah, I think we should have it. Probably we can connect again, and we should have a scenario of creating.
Because I've
If you have
tried and
multiple
I've
lines.
emailed and
Mhm.
it's not, I was told it's not a feature available. At least not
Understood.
now. I'm so hoping it's going to be.
Yeah,
So
I
you
think
don't know if
Neil,
that's in the works, right?
Yep, yep. So Neil, actually, I thought he responded to you with some
Yeah, he told me he was going to try like back end wise, but you don't know if that's was actually worked upon.
Okay, so we will make sure that that is addressed, that question is addressed, and is also part of the training. But to my understanding, yes, there is a workaround. So
oh, I hope
that's where I was
need
saying,
to know that workaround.
Absolutely, that is where I was saying it can, you know, that might be a scenario for that complex card creation where you have multiple lines and every line has split,
and
right?
they're all split. Yeah,
So,
multiple split.
Correct. That's where you probably have to switch to this BNI view, which is more like text-based, and you have to start creating or pull the requisition that you already created and start, you know, copying the lines and select all the lines and apply the split accounting. We will come back to you with instructions.
Oh, please do. Yes, I need to know that, please.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'll remind Neil on that.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and we'll make sure that it is part of the FAQ as well.
Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated.
Okay. Any other question? If not, I'm good. Lucy, back to you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your time. We'll send out the recording later in the week of this demo. I'll also make sure we resend all of the training information as well as any other information that we've published. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. Take care.